Does this not work? Can you hear me without this? Yes. I thought so.
They like it.
We also have two great sponsors. The Wayne College's athletic department. Thank you, Roberto. And thank you, Steve Evans. That's an applause. And thank you, Office of Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion and Belonging. Mark Harper, where are you? With us this afternoon, I've already introduced her, Madam President, Lynn Lemura. And several members of our leadership team. We have several alumni, members of the CNY community, Lemoyne faculty, and of course, our wonderful students. And of course, also with us is our chairman of the Board of Trustees, Pete DeLaura. And you thought there were two legends in the room, but there actually are three legends in the room. Coach Rockwell, please stand. We also have with us, the Major League Baseball contacted us last night and said, we are sending you a live content creator. Sounds like the microphone just went on. Phoebe Grosher, where are you? Let's take a few minutes to reflect upon this evening's event. Let's savor this historic point in time. One of our very own has been nominated for baseball's most prestigious humanitarian award, the Roberto Clemente Award. The great one. Roberto was, as Roberto was called, had many extraordinary accomplishments, both on and off the field, during a life cut way too short. Many would say that his finest quote was as follows, and I quote, "Anytime you have an opportunity to make a difference in this world, and you don't, then you are wasting your time on earth." End of quote. For those of you who are students of baseball, you may be thinking to yourself, I cannot believe that Roberto Clemente Jr. is with us today. When he walked in, I lost my breath. Well, Roberto Clemente Jr. is with us, and let's give him a warm Dolphin welcome. Some of our students, faculty, coaches, and even his dean. And I am still his dean because he's one course short, and when he finishes that course in the Maymester of this year, which he chose the hardest course to take, he will graduate summa cum laude, and if there are any seniors in the room, he's going to walk with you. You may be saying to yourself, I cannot believe JoJo's in the house. Back on campus for the first time in 2020. Let's give JoJo the warm Dolphin welcome that he And all of us are saying, I cannot believe that Roberto Jr. and JoJo are about to take the stage together. It's kind of surreal. It's hard to believe. But here's what is real. Here is what is not hard to believe. It's not hard to believe that JoJo is living a life with and for others. It is not hard to believe that he sees a need and he immediately wants to help. It is not hard to believe that JoJo is being celebrated for his outstanding character. That is an applause line. You personify greatness meets goodness. Why is the McNeil Speaker Series sponsoring this event? Isn't the McNeil Academy about risk? Yes, it is. Don't we normally have speakers who ponder the greatest threats of our time? Yes, we do. We have hosted McNeil speakers who have discussed the risk associated with arguably the greatest threat to our very existence, climate change. Our very own Pete Cronus, class of 1995, Chief Information Security Officer at Paramount, returned to campus to speak about mitigating the unrelenting risk of cybersecurity attacks. CIA agents graced this stage a few months ago to speak about political risk and war. But we have never linked risk to character, have we? It's called reputational risk. Through the lens of risk mitigation, which is what we teach at the McNeil Academy, we never address the many scandals that have rocked major corporations, the government, higher education, and some institutions even closer to home. What is the number one cure for the rot of reputational damage? Character. Character matters. And we are about to hear from two extraordinary people that know a lot about this topic because they live it. And speaking of extraordinary character, I now ask Syracuse Common Councilwoman Rita Paniagua to come forward to offer the opening prayer.
Good evening. Oh, it does work. Okay, so good evening, everybody. I'm Rita Paniagua, Councilor at Large for the City of Syracuse. I was asked to open this event with a prayer in Spanish. No worries, I will be translating as I go along. And I've been in front of many audiences to give many kinds of messages, but to tell you the truth, this is the very first time when Adriana called me and said, we need a prayer in Spanish. I have never said a prayer out loud in this kind of an audience. This is such an honor. What could be more important than a prayer in any kind of message that you would give to anyone? So thank you for the opportunity. I will tell you a little quick story before we get into the prayer of how this all kind of worked out. A few weeks ago, I learned about Roberto's visit to Syracuse through a good friend of mine, Paul Noyems, who is in the audience. Say hi, Paul. And not only was I happy to hear a long-time friend of mine, Roberto, was coming to town, but I was most amazed when I heard that Adriana, his daughter, is part of the organizing team of this event. I was like, I could only think of Adriana in the interfaith work dog race wearing pigtails, you know, and all of a sudden she's organizing an event for Roberto at Lemoyne. It was amazing to me to think that. It's just, I could only think about the time we are allowed in this earth and what we choose to use this time for. So you can stand or sit as we connect with the Lord in prayer. What is most important is that you open your heart as you join us. Dios que estás en los cielos, venimos a ti humildes en oración, reconociendo que necesitamos tu presencia aquí esta noche y en nuestras vidas. Heavenly Father, we humbly come to you in prayer, recognizing we need your presence here tonight and in our lives. Gracias, Dios, por las personas que dejan un legado y por aquellos quienes lo reconocen. A través de nuestras vidas nos esforzamos para dejar puertas abiertas para que las generaciones que nos siguen puedan continuar construyendo en cimientos fuertes, que puedan ser buenos ciudadanos y mentores, líderes, ser parte del tejido que guía la América donde vivimos. Thank you, Lord, for the people that leave a legacy behind, for those who recognize these legacies. Through the lives we live, we strive to leave open doors for the generations that follow to continue to build a strong foundation. Be good citizens, mentors, and leaders. Be part of the fabric that guides the America we live in. Es en unidad y paz como logramos cosas grandiosas. Trae esta bendición a este campus y sobre todos los que toman parte de este evento hoy. Venimos a ti en nombre de Jesús. Unity and peace are how we accomplish great things. Bring this blessing to this campus and everyone that will take part of tonight's event. We come to you in Jesus' name. Many blessings today and always. Muchas bendiciones hoy y siempre. Amen. Thank you.
Gracias, Rita. Muy amable. Before I introduce the moderator, someone that is well known to everybody in this room, I turn your attention to the helmet displayed on stage with a W for Washington. Each Roberto Clemente Award nominee autographs memorabilia that is auctioned off, with the proceeds going to support the Roberto Clemente Foundation. How did it end up here? Well, the greatest Pittsburgh Pirate fan that I know outbid everyone and is donating it back to Lemoyne College. Brother Stephen, thank you, and I love you. Yeah, Linda, he's giving it to you. So what does the home plate umpire say at the beginning of each game? Play ball. We are honored to have Channel 9's sports director, Steve Infante, as moderator tonight. Steve is not a Lemoyne alumnus, but his parents are alumni of Lemoyne, so we will forgive him that. Steve, the stage is all yours, and of course, as we discussed, you will be taking the bishop's chair.
Thank you, Jim. I am honored to take the bishop's chair. All right, as Jim mentioned, I did not attend Lemoyne College, but this is a special night for me. So my mom and dad met here. My sister went here. My sister ended up teaching here. So we have strong ties to Lemoyne College, and this place is near and dear to my heart. So I really do appreciate Jim for asking me to be here, Steve Evans. It's a great crowd. I can already feel the energy in the room, and I really am appreciative at this opportunity. So thanks for allowing me to be here tonight. Without further ado, let's bring up a man who needs no introduction. I spent about a half hour with him. He is a rock star here. As a junior at Lemoyne in 2018, he produced one of the best seasons ever as a Dolphins pitcher, going 11-0. He had a 1.25 ERA and 13 starts. He was selected that summer in the second round of the MLB draft by the Cincinnati Reds, was traded later that year to the Dodgers before making his way to the Washington Nationals organization via a trade in 2021. And this past season, of course, he was fantastic. He was named an MLB All-Star. Ladies and gentlemen, Josiah Gray. I think you're good. Okay. What is this like? Feeling the love as you come back here. First time you've been back since 2020. This must be awfully special.
Since 2020, yeah, this is really cool. Thank you all for coming, by the way. You know, I'm sure everyone else has other plans, but this is really sweet, you know, just to come back and feel the love and be able to, you know, have baseball be the thing that brings us together is really cool. So thank you all for coming.
Let's remind everyone of your baseball journey. So you had one college scholarship, correct? One scholarship offer. How did that come to be, Lemoyne? How did you end up here at Lemoyne?
Yeah, honestly had no choice. If I wanted, but seriously, you know, I had friends that knew Coach Cassidy, who's out there in the crowd somewhere. I'm not too sure, but you know, referred my name to him, and it all came about pretty quickly. He liked the way I played, and you know, came up to Lemoyne on an unofficial visit and really enjoyed the campus. It was a sunny day as well, and fell in love right away. And you know, once I got on campus, was able to play and make an impact, and loved every moment of it.
And you weren't a full-time pitcher when you got here, right? You played a little shortstop as well. What led you to, you know, I might be pretty good at this pitching thing?
Yeah. So I played shortstop my first 2 years and wasn't very good. So, you know, I always had pitching in my backhand, and you know, I was an all right pitcher. But my sophomore year, things sort of took off. You know, went to the Cape Cod League, had some success, and then my junior year, you know, it went by so quick. But it seemed like every game there were a handful of scouts, and you know, there I was in June getting my name called in the draft. So everything was a whirlwind, and it went by really quick. But I loved every moment of it.
All right, and as we mentioned, a big reason why we're here tonight is that you are up for the Roberto Clemente Award, such a high honor in Major League Baseball. And so let's bring up the man who is here to talk about that particular award. It goes to a player who best represents the game through extraordinary character. And for more on that, we introduce a philanthropist, a humanitarian, an entrepreneur, a producer, as well as a former broadcaster and pro baseball player himself, the eldest son of Roberto Clemente Jr. Ladies and gentlemen. So first time in Syracuse, from what I understand?
Well, not first time in Syracuse. I've been in Syracuse before with Rita. Did some clinics a while back ago. Very, very great to be back in Syracuse.
First time at Lemoyne College, though,
yes,
I guess,
first
right?
time here, yes.
And you've gotten a warm welcome here on campus. Tell us a little bit about this award and what it means to you and your family.
You know, this award in 1972, it started as the Commissioner's Man of the Year Award. The first awardee was Mr. Willie Mays. After the accident, Commissioner Bowie Kuhn decided to rename the award the Roberto Clemente Humanitarian Award, and that, from that point on, it's been since 1973. Really welcoming members of that award, starting with Al Kaline was the first one in 1973. And if you look at the amount of names, the amount of great names, a lot of Hall of Famers, great players, but most importantly, very, very good humanitarians have really been awarded this award. So it's for the man that really best exemplifies the spirit of Roberto Clemente.
And, you know, we asked JoJo about how he, you know, got started with his baseball journey. I would imagine your baseball journey very much begins with your father, correct?
Well, obviously, I had to be born, right? Yes. Mom and Dad have all the fault. Yeah, yes, absolutely. But I remember Dad, you know, being after the games and Dad welcoming all the, you know, players from the other teams, mostly the Hispanic players, to feed them at home. Mom will be, you know, cooking after the games, and they will be telling stories. But I was always enamored by the way he carried himself. It was something you could tell there was a difference between him and everyone else, the way he spoke, the way he carried himself. There was an aura, there was a light shining, emanating from him. It was because a lot of people don't talk about it. It's because he was a man of faith. He was a man of God. And a lot of people don't say that, but it's very, very important. I always speak about it because it shows the character, where it came from, what led him to be the way he was.
Now, your dad meant so much, certainly, to the game of baseball. He continues to mean so much to the game of baseball. And I know we have a lot of young people here in attendance tonight. We do have a short video that we're going to play right now that speaks to the impact that your dad made on the game of baseball and to all the lives that he touched. And so let's take a look at this brief video.
Today, Major League Baseball celebrates the life, career, and legacy of Roberto Clemente, a first-ballot Hall of Famer, World Series champ, and 15-time All-Star, whose on-field greatness was matched only by his humanitarian spirit. Roberto's drive to help others and strengthen the community lives on through the inspiring work of his family foundation.
Do you know what legacy means? You're leaving something behind. Make sure whatever you touch in a positive way. Just like our father did, you have the power to leave your own legacy in this community.
Each year, every Major League club nominates one player for the Roberto Clemente Award presented by Capital One, recognizing philanthropy, sportsmanship, and dedication to service. We thank all the nominees for their commitment to strengthening our communities. For more on the life and legacy of Roberto Clemente and to cast your vote for your 2023 winner, go to MLBtogether.com.
When you see that video, what comes to mind for you? You were awfully young when your dad passed away, 7 years old, right? What do you remember about your dad? And when you see a video like that, what is it? What emotions come to mind for you?
You know, you need to understand, yes, I was 7 years old, so I was very young. I did not understand the impact that he had at the time in the sport. For me, he was just dad. I was emulating everybody else but dad, right? But, growing up and understanding the impact, when the people hear the name, their reaction, they get emotional, tears start flowing. And it happens daily. We're talking 50 years after his passing. When you hear the name, obviously you're thinking about goodwill. You're not thinking about baseball. Baseball's secondary. It's that human connection, that feeling of what can I do? It's actually a call to action when you hear the name to do something for others. So we're very proud that 50 years later we are still remembering the man that played the game, but it was just secondary. He was a great human being.
We're reminded in the video, Jojo, that there's one player for each team that is nominated for this award. You are the one player. What does it mean to you personally to be up for this award and to be mentioned in the same breath as Willie Mays and L.K. and all the rest?
Absolutely. When they first told me, I was blown away. Just because he was my dad's favorite player, and my dad, is the one that introduced baseball to me. So that was my first reaction. But then to be, introduced with the likes of those names, you really can't put it into words. You understand that you're doing a lot in the community and you're giving back to kids, whether it's the game of baseball or just your time or anything like that. And you don't really expect the recognition behind it just because you want to make an impact with these kids and just be people, be a person to them. So when they told me, it didn't really register until I kind of told people about it, and they were like, man, this is the award that a lot of guys want to be nominated for. So it's an honor, and it's truly a blessing.
I was going over your laundry list of community involvement. It's quite lengthy. I got a list of what the Washington Nationals had submitted. Speak to what you are doing in the community, especially with the kids, right? Because that's been your main focus. Can you speak to the efforts that you've done over the years?
Yeah, so for me, the thing I'm most proud of is being the youth ambassador for the Washington Nationals Youth Baseball Academy. So it's an academy in the city of Washington, D.C. They service about 200 kids, if not more. And basically for these kids, it's after-school programs, it's baseball, it's teaching them life skills, so how to cook, how to figure out, business plans. It's much more than just the game of baseball. So when I joined the Nationals in 2021, I went over there for a visit with Josh Bell and, fell in love with it right away, just because one, I wish I had that as a kid, and two, because I just see that the kids really enjoy just coming to this place, that they're really safe, they can enjoy baseball, they can do all that they dream to do with their friends. So when Josh Bell got traded, they approached me and said, do you want to become our new ambassador? And I instantly said hello. Instantly said yes. And then while they introduced that to me, I was already fundraising, money to give back to those kids. So it was an instant connection, and those kids, they don't know how much they mean to us as players, but for me, it's like a second sort of purpose in what I do every day in the game of baseball.
All right, so along those lines, I was going to ask you about that, the why. Why do you do what you do? Why is it a priority for you?
It's just that giving back nature. I feel like with what I do, on the field, that's one thing, but being able to go over there and help these kids out and just, see their faces light up when, you play catch with them or you throw them BP, I think that's an impact enough to where, it's, yeah, you want to go out and you want to be the best athlete possible, but I think that has a longer impact for these kids. And, if one of those kids goes on to play college baseball, you feel like you had, an influence in helping them. So that's kind of where the why comes from for me.
I lost my mom to cancer 19 years ago now. She was 55 years old, and I often think to myself, what if I could talk to her today, what would she say about me? And I know you lost your dad to cancer as well, and I'm sorry. If he could speak to you today, what do you think he would say to current present day Josiah?
I think he'd tell me a lot of things. He'd tell me to keep going, be tough, because this game, it takes you for so many sort of ups and downs and everything in between. And, I got drafted, and he was able to see that moment, but he wasn't able to see, the journey to getting to the big leagues, and then, the struggles, the ups and downs of being in the big leagues. And he'd say, just keep going. This game's going to throw you every which way. But obviously, he's really proud of me, and every moment, I step out there on the mound, I, salute to him. So he's with me with every pitch.
I want to ask you the same question. If your dad could talk to you today, what do you think? I mean, you've made this your life's work. What would he say to you?
Wow. I truly feel blessed because he picked the right woman to be the mother of his children. I know that he is proud of what she accomplished, who we became because of her, and her grace, her respect to others. So I'm sure that, they're both together. Very proud.
I would assume that a part of the satisfaction you get with what you do is that it's a way to honor your dad, right? Carry on his legacy. Is that fair to say?
It feels good. It's a good feeling. It's a true great feeling to give. That's all I know since I was very young. It's a natural thing. It's an organic thing that we did as a family. I grew up watching this every day of my life. So I know no better than what I do, right? And it's something that I always say that my mother ruined me because I don't know how to say no. That's why my wife says no for me, because I'm always saying yes. But I can tell you that, it is a great feeling. But, we as leaders, we have the opportunity to lead. We must serve. If we don't serve, we don't know how to lead. And I truly believe that we all need to really make sure that we're servants before we even embark on leading anyone.
Along those lines, you established the foundation in your dad's name. Can you speak to the mission of the foundation?
I remember the RBI program. I got involved. I started the RBI program in 1992 in Puerto Rico, and took a team to St. Louis and to the World Series. I found out that the city of Pittsburgh didn't have an RBI program. So once I got back to Puerto Rico, I said I need to go and start the program in Pittsburgh for those kids there. And in 1993, I started the foundation. our first regional team took from the neighborhoods, the different bad neighborhoods of Pittsburgh, they're real bad neighborhoods, and build this regional team to go to Virginia Beach or Norfolk, Virginia, to a regional tournament. The reaction of these kids when they saw the ocean for the first time, something that I took for granted because I grew up in Puerto Rico. I see the beach every day, right? But we were driving for 10 hours and watching baseball movies and so forth. But the reaction of these kids when they saw the ocean for the first time, that is something that I will never forget, because it opened their eyes to something bigger that they haven't seen in a mile radius in their neighborhoods. And from that point on, I knew that we needed to continue that journey for those kids.
I want to switch gears now, and we heard Jim during his opening remarks talk about risk management. In this case, reputational risk, and Josiah, I want to talk to you about that. One of the things that I try to and have tried to drive home to my kids is about living to a higher standard, holding yourself to a higher standard, and whether it was here as a student athlete at Lemoyne or now as a professional athlete. Can you talk about trying to hold yourself to a higher standard? There's a lot of pressures out there. There's a lot of ways that you can get in trouble. Not you personally, but I mean, professional athletes can get in trouble out there. Can you speak to trying to hold yourself to a higher standard?
Absolutely. I think I kind of come from the same cloth as you. As I can't say no. So there's so many opportunities out there to make an impact. So I make sure I'm the first person. Whether it's we had the Little League Classic game this year. And, I was the first person to volunteer to go on the bus with these kids just because I felt like, they wanted to see a big leaguer that was willing to talk to them. So that's kind of how I approach, every day is how do I, lead my life in a way to where people can speak positively about you and it's as authentic as can be, because I don't go into every day thinking, oh, I got to do this to make myself look good. It's more or less just the daily task. So that's why, being nominated for the Roberto Clemente Award is, it's not that it was expected, but I didn't really, think much of what I was doing to where, I would be in that nomination pool. But that's kind of how I've always lived my life, and, look forward to, every day being able to just impact someone in a positive way.
I love that. I hope everybody's listening. That is awesome. Same question for you, Roberto. I want to get your thoughts on. I know you have some experience in the risk management space. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Oh, well, I mean, it was so much easier before than it is today because of what happens to social media and all the things that you do, right? So for me, just continue to do what we do and stay in the lane of giving and staying out of trouble, right? It's actually you can't get in trouble if you're doing good, if you're involved in helping and really helping other people. So I think that every single nominee, by the way, is a winner, and for every single team, what you guys are doing is amazing. So for me, just continuing to do good, continue to be passionate about what you do, and make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons.
In my preparation for this event tonight, I came across that you are an ambassador for the RC21X. Could you speak to that and what that's all about?
Wow. Okay. So 10 years ago, I was treated in a brain clinic. My story, I decided to write a book because it's a really crazy story. So one of the things that I found out 10 years ago was that I grew up impaired without my knowledge. I suffered 15 concussions before high school. It was affecting me. I had no peripheral vision, so I went to play professional baseball with no peripheral vision and only 64% of my balance. So as a normal person, you should have, the minimum will be 80. So I was under that with 64%. But in the meantime, I am getting involved with a company that were developing a technology because a kid in Central Catholic in high school in Pittsburgh had passed away He suffered a brain injury on a Monday in a football practice, and he was 16 years old, and by Friday morning, he passed away. Brain bleed, slow brain bleeding, and they couldn't figure it out, what was going on. Went to the hospital, sent him home, and he passed away in his sleep. And we started this journey with this technology because of this tragic incident. But 10 years later, we're now 10, 11 years in the development of the RC21X, which is Roberto Clemente 21 and X for a script, where we partnered with the University of Texas, Arlington. We took 50 years of neuroscience and tabletop apparatuses. We partnered with the Human Performance Institute there, created the algorithms, put it up in the cloud. Started working at the time with all the NFL players in the settlement case, and the attorneys were able to utilize the tool and continue development until today, which we're very proud that we're now utilizing a whole program with the Roberto app, which comes from the RC21X, into the corporate world where we're now mitigating and risk accidents in the workplace. We're now saving between 40 and 60% of premium in their workers' compensations, which is a lot of money for a lot of the companies. But most importantly, we're helping people not get hurt through accidents and injuries. So we're very proud of what we have created so far, and obviously even more so because it carries the name of my father as an extension of continuing to helping people.
Wow, that's great. That's great. Where can people go for more information? Is there a website they can check out? Or
Absolutely, rc21x.com. And for the risk management piece, called CloudTech, cloudtech.com.
All right, I want to talk a little baseball now. This past year for you, I mean, you obviously had this steady rise from Lemoyne to where you are now. This year was, I don't know, would you consider it your breakthrough year? I mean,
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, you found yourself in an all-star game. That's pretty darn good. What was that experience like? What was this season like for you?
Man, it started out, and you know, I was talking with some of the coaches today from the baseball team. You know, I lost my first 4 starts, and you know, I'm looking at my record, and I'm thinking, man, am I going to lose 20 games this year? Which is not good. So I knew I kind of, you know, was hitting adversity early, and just kind of had to stick with my plan. You know, I knew I learned a new pitch, and you know, kind of had a new mindset in how I was going out there, and you know, wanted to just trust that. So as the season went on, you know, obviously April in terms of the record didn't go my way, but from then on out, you know, I started to hit my stride, and there I was, you know, in mid to late July, and I looked down, and you know, the numbers are good, the team's playing well. So for me, it was kind of just sticking with that process, sticking with the work I did in the off season, because you know, my first 2 years in the big leagues, they were okay, but they weren't anything, you know, to write home about. You know, I wanted more out of myself. I know the team wanted more out of me, so I put in a lot of work in the off season, and this year, you know, things sort of worked my way. But I think now it's how do I get a step better? So obviously putting in the work again in this offseason to get better for next year.
What was that moment like when you were informed you were going to the All-Star game? Was that a phone call? Was that did you get called in the manager's office? I mean, how did you find out about that?
So we had just, we were playing in Philly. I had pitched the day before and done well. So I think that helped me a little bit. Their manager was the manager for the National League All-Star team. But you know, there's a video out there where my manager, Davey Martinez, you know, kind of like slowly introduces like, hey, we have one All-Star this year. And then he says, it's Josiah Gray.
So that's how you found out?
That's how I found out. So if you ever see this video, that's as authentic as it gets. You know, I'm just stuck in my chair. I'm like, did he really just say my name? Just because, you know, I obviously knew I had a good year so far, but wasn't expecting that. You know, as a kid, you grow up, you look up to the All-Stars just because they're the who's who. So received that, you know, notification from him, and he was like, man, get up, give me a hug. And I was like, oh, man. So talked in front of the team for 2 minutes, kind of just whatever came to my mind because I was just stuck. I didn't know what to think. And then, one by one, the guys came over to me and congratulated me. And, it didn't really hit me until I called my mom. And she was like, what? And I had to repeat it like 4 or 5 times over. And she was like, oh my God. And obviously I was emotional just because of the way my career turned out to that point. And it was a really cool moment and super surreal.
I know I certainly had a reason to watch the All-Star game that night. Me being a local sports guy, I was like, is he going to get in? I got to show the inning that he pitches. So you got in. I mean, what was that? What was that experience like, playing with the best of the best and getting on the mound in that showcase event?
Yeah, it was really cool, because you get out there and you really aren't off your feet until, it's all over. There's 3 full days of activities, and you obviously want to enjoy the game, but at the end of the day, you kind of forget that there's also a game because there's so much going on. So for me, I'm warming up in the bullpen. I'm not having the greatest bullpen before I go in there, to be completely honest. And I run out to the mound, and my first batter, I was really, really tense just because I didn't know where the ball was going. I'm like, if I walk this guy, this inning's going to get ugly really quick. So he ended up flying out. I threw, the most middle fastball you could ever throw, and he flew it out. And then, I kind of let my shoulders down and relaxed and got the other 2 outs. But, it was a whirlwind experience that it goes by so quick that I guess you don't really appreciate it as much as you should.
Yeah, because the inning's over and you're done, right?
And then you're done and you go home. But, I think next time, it'll be a lot more just enjoying it, trying to take it all in, and then getting ready for the game a little better.
I love that. He just said next time. I love
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. How has it changed being a pro baseball player from when you played to where Josiah is now? How has the game changed? How is, you mentioned social media. Just how is it different now being a pro ball player?
I mean, it's very different. Everything is different.
Yeah, right.
Everything. We're talking about the analytic side of the game, how everything is played. Now you have pitchers that are groomed to you throw a certain amount of innings, and everything is already set before the game starts, which is actually kind of weird to me, right? But the game has changed in so many ways. I think that the rule changes this year that were established in many ways has helped the young people kind of get more engaged with the game. It's faster. I remember when I was broadcasting for the Yankees, the average time the Yankees were playing was 4 hours every night. There was long games, so I think that the pace has changed a lot. I think that Major League Baseball has done a great job of letting mostly the Latino players celebrate the way that they play the game, because it's a lot more fun to watch. Remember, if you hit a home run, you couldn't show up the pitcher, you couldn't, toss the bat or do anything of that nature, because next time you'll be getting one on the ribs, right? But now it's celebration. Go out and be colorful and be passionate and have fun. So I think that the game is changing in a very positive way.
I do want to ask you, Josiah, about the rule changes. And listen, pitchers were affected this year with the pitch clock and how many times you could throw over to first base and mound visits and so on and so forth. What do you think as a pitcher about the rule changes?
I think, in overall, the game's quicker, so everyone enjoys going home sooner. But the changes were very skewed towards offense.
Yeah.
And I think we've seen that a lot in the postseason, to where, you have to be strategic with how you're going to limit the running game, how are you going to use your pitches to, there's no shift anymore. And then the bigger bases, those kind of things, you don't really notice. But yeah, the game, it's a lot quicker. You got to make a decision sooner. And I think with the pitch clock, we'll see a lot more adjustments to how pitchers are setting up and how they're getting their signs, because you have to make that decision that much quicker.
Yeah, so, go ahead.
And Steve, if you ask a hitter, the hitters don't care.
Right? Yeah, right. It's all skewed towards the offense, right?
We want the advantage, right? Absolutely, yes.
So did you have to change at all your preparation, or, from batter to batter, between pitch to pitch? Did you have to change your routine at all?
Honestly, no. The first couple games in spring training, they, made a conscious effort, like, hey, this is going to be different, but we want you guys to understand and learn. So for me, it took a few games, but I know for some guys, it was a long process, because, you might have a full routine you go through every pitch or through every batter, so you don't want to get hit with, that auto ball But yeah, for me, it was an easy transition. I think it's made for a cleaner and a quicker game.
Can I ask you who the toughest batter you've faced? Can I ask for that, or is
Yeah.
that not something you want to say?
No, the guys that are tough are the guys that do well against you. So the guys that have taken me deep, there's some Mookie Betts home runs I've given up.
He's really good.
He's really good.
No shame in that.
Bryce Harper is,
No
is
shame in that
another really good player. But I've faced pretty much everybody at this point, and I have some good strikeouts on my ledger as well. So that's the way the game goes.
Roberto mentioned the bat flips now are kind of celebrated. We saw a couple recently that weren't exactly celebrated. Have you ever had somebody with give you an emphatic bat flip as they're running down to first base?
Yeah, and truly, whether this is unfavorable opinion or not, I enjoy it.
Yeah?
I think it shows that expression of the game. I think you can agree with, because if you're hitting a big home run in a big spot, you're not going to be stone-faced. You want to show some emotion with your teammates. So when our guys, with the Nationals, hit some big home runs, I'm one of the first pitchers on the top of that dugout, screaming with them. So it's an important part of the game that we all love.
You mentioned the game is. Oh, go ahead.
No, I just want to. I think that we need to also thank the WBC, because
that's a good point.
Because people watching the WBC, World Baseball Classic, watching the fans in those games, having so much fun. I mean, the music, the dancing, the craziness, the colorful, and then you have the players going crazy on the field. I think that helped MLB kind of relax a little bit and be able to go have some fun, because people would love watching that.
I think that's a great point. You brought up the rule changes, how it's speeding up the game, and that's a good thing. Overall, from when your dad played to when you played to where we are now, how would you define the state of the game right now? You think the game's in a good spot?
I think that the game is in a great spot. The changes have been very good. I think the grassroots initiatives with baseball are growing stronger. I think that technology is going to actually help a lot in where we are today in terms of really doing AR and so forth with baseball. And integrating those into everyday play. So I think that we the game is going to get better, and I hope it's going to continue to grow. But it's doing great.
Now, Jojo, you said you hadn't been back since 2020, and that a few things had changed. One of the major things that has changed here is that Lemoyne is now a Division I school. I see your coach, Scott Cassidy, back there. We were looking for him when he first got here. Scott just got inducted into the Greater Syracuse Sports Hall of Fame. So, round of applause for Scott. How does that change things now for Lemoyne? And again, we were talking before we started the fact that you're out there as a proud Lemoyne product, and you've kind of planted that flag and given them some legitimacy already. How do things change now with Lemoyne going D1?
I think it means a lot for the guys that are coming here or getting recruited to come here. It shows that the school is making the right waves to advance their athletic programs. It's a great education, but now you get to play top-notch Division I competition. So for me, going to Lemoyne when it was Division II, I loved every second of it, because I knew I was playing good competitive baseball. But nowadays, you can play Division I baseball, and it's still a small school environment. So I think everything they're doing to go D1 and make advancements in that realm are really positive.
You just missed out on the NIL. We were talking about that a little bit before we came on, that you actually wrote a paper, right, when you were here about athletes should get paid. You were a little ahead of your time. What do you think about NIL and what you're seeing in college athletics, especially with basketball and football and off-season free agency, it feels like? Do you think it's good for college athletics? Certainly good for the athletes, right?
Yeah, I think, when you commit to a school at the upper realms of Division I sports, within football or basketball, so much of your time is devoted to training and being the best athlete you can be. So in that paper, Professor Glennon is here. I wrote it for his class. I simply stated that. I was like, if these kids are putting in that much time in their realm, I'm not saying I should get paid, but they should, because of how much time they're putting in. And I think we're starting to see that with the NIL stuff, and a lot of guys going to schools where they can get paid the right amount or the correct amount. So I think it's a little wild, wild west in college sports, but the players are getting their right due with being compensated.
Steve, he did not get paid here, but he's sure getting paid today.
That's true. That's a great point. That's a great point. Did you get an A on that paper, by the way? Do you remember?
I hope so.
I think you deserved an A. You gave a
You
convincing
have to
argument.
ask him. I don't know where he is, but I'm sure I did.
You're right. He paid his dues here, and
Yes,
now
yes.
he's getting compensated very nicely. I know we're going to open it up for questions here in a minute, but I just kind of want to circle back to what we started with, and that was, I asked you guys early on why you do what you do. We got a lot of young people in the audience here tonight, and college students, and we talked about why you do it. How can they find the why for them? Does that make sense? How do they find what motivates them, and how do you bring out what motivates you?
Well, for me, I think it's very easy. We all have talent of some sort. We all have talent, trust me. If you don't know what your talent is, you're going to find it. But most importantly, find your passion, okay? Find something within what your realm, your world is, your community is, and find something that gets you excited to get up every morning. And embark on that journey, stay in that lane, because it's gonna make your life a lot easier. Being able to be committed, because it's not about a job, it's a passion. So it's something that is gonna be fun. You're never gonna get tired of it, right? And it's something that you're gonna be good at because you love what you do.
Josiah, what are your thoughts on that, about finding your own personal why and then bringing that out for the world to see?
Yeah, I think Roberto says it perfectly. Finding your passion. For me, that was baseball. So in spreading the love for baseball, it's easy because, I wake up every day wanting to play baseball. So giving it back to kids or, people, working their ways up through the travel ball ranks or whatever it may be, it's easy. So I think having that why for me, it came naturally through, obviously joining the professional ranks. There's a lot of opportunities to give back, whether it's, kid camps or, having an hour with a kid and just helping him with his swing or, helping him on the mound. So for me, it's always come easy. And I think, especially now with being a big part of who the Nationals are and what they do, it comes easy.
And along those lines, you two both got to live out your dreams, right? How do you, I guess, what advice would you have for the folks here in attendance about pursuing your dream and chasing that?
Steve, that's a great segue. Okay, hold on, because this is a quick story. I'm not gonna bore you with this one. I'll make it very short. So I lost Dad when I was 7 years old, and he left a very, very big trophy room, all right, huge. And within those trophies, there were two items that I looked at just about every day growing up. And I would pick up his 2 World Series rings. And my goal was to earn my own. I said, I'm gonna earn my own I wanna be a world champion. I signed professionally in 1984 with Philadelphia Phillies, spent a couple of years, got hurt with San Diego the next year. It took me 3 long years and 3 knee surgeries to get back to baseball. I signed with the Orioles, AAA. Frank Robinson says, Roberto, what a great, you worked your butt off to get back here, so you deserve it. We're gonna break camp tomorrow, and I think, we may take you. I said, that's fantastic. I go to dinner, I go back to my hotel. I watched the last part of The Naughty Professor, Jerry Lewis. Some of you older people know what I'm talking about. And I woke up the next morning paralyzed from my waist down for 13 days. That was the end of my career. Fast forward, I ended up becoming a broadcaster for the New York Yankees in 1997. So 1998, 1999, 2000, and 2001, we went to the World Series. I was able to be at the World Series as a team member, not on the field, but as the organization, and be able to earn my own World Series ring, right? So I always tell young people, I always say that we may not have the ability or stay healthy enough, but a lot of people don't understand that you can be part of a team in so many other ways. As a team doctor, a team trainer, a coach, analytics nowadays, you have so many ways of doing it, and be able to go and go with your passion and do something good with it.
And sometimes dreams change, right, along the way.
Listen, life throws you curveballs. You need to make adjustments.
Well said, well said. Jojo, you want to take that one about following your dreams?
Yeah, I think, from the moment I stepped on campus, I was following my dreams, whether it was late nights, in the cages, or late nights even in the library. I made sure that I was putting in the right work at every moment. So while, a lot of people, come up to me and say, we never knew that you played baseball, I knew what I was working for every day, and that was to become the best baseball player I could be and the best student. So, every moment, every day on this campus, I worked with a purpose. Late nights in the weight room. I remember a lot of moments after finals or after a late night study session, I'd go down to the gym and set up the cage or work out in the weight room. And it was a constant sort of routine that I had that, I never really thought much of it. It was just me working to get better that day. So I think, while my career was short as a shortstop, I set myself up in a way to where I knew every day I was getting something done and was never going to be surprised to get my name called, to be a member of the professional ranks. So, I loved every moment coming here to Lemoyne, and, coming back, it's so fun to see everyone because, they're saying, hey, we love what you're doing. But for me, every day was just a day of work, and I still have that mentality to this day, and, it's going to propel me to greater things.
And hypothetically speaking, if there were, I don't know, a recruit in the house right now listening, what would you tell him about your time at Lemoyne and about whether or not you should come here?
I loved every moment of it. I think, you embraced athletics easily because it's what you do, it's what is that sport. And then you look at what comes with that, the small classrooms, but also the intimate attention that you can get. I utilized, the tutors even in the library to help me on tough subjects. I think a lot of that you might not get at those bigger institutions. So for me, I really appreciated, going to the library and seeing people that you noticed and having those small connections, or even people in the cafeteria. I really appreciated those sort of things. So if you kind of like that one-on-one attention, I think this is the right place.
Yeah, and I tell you one thing that, yeah, absolutely. I would say one thing that always stands out to me anytime I come here, and again, I didn't go here, my mom and dad did, my sister did. I always run into familiar face. Everybody's so nice. The people here always stand out to me every time that I'm here. They welcome me here like I'm a Lemoyne grad, even though I'm not. All right, so with that, we do want to open it up for some questions. We've got a couple of microphones on either side here. Yes, Jim, what were you going to say? Okay.
I'll do that.
These young people.
Would you like a microphone?
Yeah, okay, I got it. So, I'm so honored to be up here with these guys. Amazing. Roberto, do you know why we're the Dolphins?
No, why?
It's odd, isn't it?
Yes.
I'm going to tell you. I know that all of our students know and our faculty know, but I want to make sure when you leave here, you will never forget the Dolphins. You ready?
Ready.
Okay. So, our sister city to Syracuse is Syracusa in Sicily. I'm going to quiz you later, so listen carefully. Syracusa. The earliest Christians in Syracusa, 2,000 years ago, they were on the water, right, right by the Greek theater. There's the Mediterranean Sea, and they would notice these spectacular animals in the water that were so athletic and so elegant and remarkably smart, really, really nimble. They had an amazing genius for friendship and intense loyalty. Oh, did I say playful? Okay. So when the Diocese of Syracuse got started here, the leaders at that time in the 1800s looked to Syracuse, because we're sister cities, and said, what are we going to call the only Jesuit college, Catholic college, in Syracuse? We need inspiration. And they got it, right? In fact, I knew you would love this.
Outstanding. I love it.
So, the other thing I want to tell you, Roberto, I'm going to stay up here for a while. No, I'm teasing. The other thing I want to tell you is, in the cathedral downtown, if you look up in the ceiling and you look on the floor and the tiles, you will see dolphins. Now, how often do you see dolphins in a church, in a cathedral? I have to ask you.
Never.
Never. And the reason that they're there is because of that early inspiration that then ended up right here on the Heights. So when you think of smart, intellectually nimble, playful, athletic, a genius for friendship and loyalty, you think of the students in this room and JoJo. Why not? Why not? Now, if you will permit me, I would really enjoy this opportunity to pin you. Yeah. May I? Okay. Wear this with pride. You are now officially a dolphin.
Oh,
What do you say?
oh yeah.
Where can I put it? You here? Okay? Oh, this is handsome right here. Look at this. Oh, yeah. Beautiful. Now, one more thing. You did not go to Lemoyne.
I did not.
We
no.
still like you.
Thank you.
And you know what? I have one here. Here, will you hold this?
Okay.
You can have mine.
Excellent.
Where may I put it?
Wherever you would like.
Oh, all right. Right there.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate it. Oh, yeah. Thank you. That was very nice. Thank you for doing that. So as I was saying, we've got some open mics here. We've got some time for questions if you would like. Please feel free.
Hello, Steve.
Great to see you.
I know you're not a Dolphin.
I'm not.
I know you graduated from Ithaca College.
I did.
And I also. JoJo, I'm ashamed of myself for not watching you play here at Lemoyne. Ashamed of myself, but I did watch Roberto's dad play. I admired the way he played like you can't believe. I tried to mimic myself after him. His movements, the way he carried himself, I always thought he was not only a great player, but a gentleman and a humanitarian. I have a question for you,
Yes.
Roberto.
He was a great Dolphin. Go ahead.
I heard that your dad, that Chichi Rodriguez wanted your dad to play professional golf. Tell us this story.
Well, you know, it is true. It's very true. Chi-Chi, being from Puerto Rico, Dad was a perfectionist. That's one thing that people need to understand about my father. He was a perfectionist. That's why he would go, he knew every single outfield in the league. Every time he would go to a ballpark, he would spend time in that outfield having people hit balls in the corner to see how they reacted, understanding. He would really know where, boom, and just turn around and just shoot the bazooka, right? But he was a perfectionist. So I remember one day that he was telling a story to Manny about golf, about Chi-Chi, because Chi-Chi wanted him to play golf. So Manny brought the golf clubs over to the apartment complex in Pittsburgh, and they went to the back of the apartment complex. I went with them. And, they're chipping. Manny's just chipping from here to there, Roberto from here to there. That was going that way, and he threw the clubs and never touched them again. So Chi-Chi tried to get him to play, but he said no, and Manny really confirmed that he was not a golfer. So he dropped it real quick.
That is a great story. All right, who else? Come on. I'm sure we've got other questions. Yes, young man.
Josiah, with the Nationals, what do you think of the organization? How do you think the future is going to go for them?
Great question. I think the future's bright. You know, we have a lot of young talent coming up through the ranks. Myself, we have a couple other good pitchers, Mackenzie Gore, Jake Irvin, and they've also had a couple good drafts and trades work out in their way. So I think it's going to be a fun time for the Nationals. We'll be right back in contention, you know, contending with the Mets and the Braves. So stick with us. You know, I know the last 3 years haven't gone our way, but I think things will turn very soon.
Good question.
All right.
Hey, Josiah.
What's up, man?
How you been? For those who don't know, Josiah was here as a full-time student when I was here. And, oh, hey, sorry, I'm seeing a lot of people in the crowd that I'm really recognizing. Rita, oh, did she leave? Okay, that's okay. I'll see her Friday or Saturday. So I wanted, you know, we've been talking a lot about character and being humanitarians and, you know, putting others in front of yourself or working for others. We've talked a lot about advice and what advice should you give to others for, you know, community service and how they should put others forward. But what type of character would you say, like, list the character traits that really make that person?
I think, you know, it starts with willing to be giving your time. You know, there's so much you could do, especially, you know, in the Syracuse community or in my perspective, the Washington, D.C. community. You have to be willing to give your time. And then obviously understanding the people you're around. You know, I think finding out their true passions and being authentic with it. So naturally, anything within the realms of baseball, you know, I can speak naturally about, I can be authentic with, and share that passion with people. So I think those traits would be, you know, being authentic, being passionate, be also willing to learn. I think in efforts of giving back to the community, you know, it's a space where if you're willing to from others and learn their experiences and learn, you know, how you can make an impact with them, that goes a longer way than, you know, just understanding or not understanding who they are as people.
You want to add to that?
I agree 100% with Jojo. You must listen and understand and learn the problems, the issues at hand, and try to find the solutions, right? And I think that's the key to the understanding, to find that piece that's going to bring that impact to that community.
Thank you. And just want to thank you as well for that one night when you explained what a balk is to me. I don't know if you remember that. We were watching a baseball game, and it was the first time ever I saw a balk. I'm getting more into baseball now, but it was the first time I saw a balk called, and I'm like, what the heck just happened? So I don't know why, but I just took my phone out, and I'm like, well, I know I'm friends with JoJo, and he has a blue check mark on his Instagram. I don't know if he'll reply or whatever, but I'm like, hey, what's a balk? And immediately we got into a quick conversation about it, and I was like, oh, yeah. Well, thanks for explaining that. So
that's awesome.
Appreciate it.
Anytime, man, anytime.
Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Thank you both for being here. So I'm a professor here, and unfortunately we didn't overlap. But my son and his friend are here today, and sometimes they listen to other people more than they listen to me. Baseball being a team sport, and facing an 0-4 start to the year, or facing a huge adversity, I'm wondering if you might have a story or an example of when you've been really down, you've faced a huge, miserable day, or week, or 13 days. And how did a teammate pick you up? And then has there been a time when you've taken that and been able to pick a fellow teammate up?
Great question. There's so many moments in a major league season that, you know, you have to rely on your teammates, whether you like it or not. You have to be willing to, be open with yourself to listen to other people. And for me, I had just had a rough outing against the Miami Marlins down the stretch. I didn't finish the way I wanted to, but August was noticeably tougher for me. And after a game, I'm down in my locker. I pitched poorly for, I think, the third or fourth time in a row. And Dom Smith, for those that know, he played for the Mets. He's with the Nationals now, all-time teammate. And, he came up to me in my locker and he said, man, we got you. He put his arm around me. And, I was really close to just, breaking down at that moment. But for him to come over to me and kind of express that confidence in me for that point in time, it gave me all the confidence that I needed. So then coming back my next 3 starts, I was the pitcher I know I was always. But I think leaning on those guys, and that's one of the really good stories I have.
For me, I can tell you that baseball is a game of failure, all right? Baseball is where in the world, where in life can you fail 7 out of 10 times and be great, right? So obviously you need to deal with all the failure every single day. In baseball, what I tell people about life is the fact that baseball and life are the same thing. And we need to continue swinging. And when we feel down, when we're in the dump, and we've been there before. It's not we haven't been there before. We need to think about when we were there before, how we got out, that we got out. We came out of it and we were fine, so we must get that to the same place. Being able to meditation, music, and focusing, refocusing on where you were right before this happened. And obviously having teammates and people in your life that are positive and stay away from the negative people. That's very important. Stay away from negativity, stay the positive side.
Great answer. We've got time for a couple more. Yes, young man.
So I have one question for you and one question for you.
All right, you got 2. That's great. 2 in 1.
So for you, do you know why your dad chose the number 21?
Yes, he chose number 21 because he had 21 letters in his name. So that was his number, and ironically, if you look at 21, in the Bible, it's a very powerful number. So he had 21 letters. That's why he chose number 21.
And then my question for you is, what's your daily diet?
Skittles and
yeah. I think Riley, my girlfriend, could help out really well with that. But no, I eat a lot of eggs, a lot of chicken, a lot of beef, rice. I love rice. Can't go wrong with that. But I try to stay away from candy, so I'm never eating candy or anything like that. I don't like the junk food, but I try to keep full meals, so a lot of chicken and rice or hamburgers or things like that.
Now, does that stuff come from the team? Are they, do they outline a nutritional plan for the players and whatnot?
Yeah, there's a lot of offerings every game day. So it's up to you to choose the good options, or up to you to choose the gummy bears and chips. So I try to choose the good options all the time.
All right, fair enough. I think we had a question over here.
Josiah, what advice would you give a young baseball player?
How old are you?
9.
Nice. Oh, man. When I was 9, I was just starting to play travel baseball. And the unique thing about my travel baseball team was we played year-round. So we'd obviously play spring, summer, fall, but it was completely foreign to me that you could play baseball inside. So the first time we played inside was in the Bronx, New York, and we're playing with these yellow baseballs. So I think instilling that mindset of always playing, always practicing, always training when I was 9 years old stuck with me. So, continue to always use the resources that, your parents will provide to you, but, always want to go out and have a catch, always want to hit off the tee, and I think that pays off in the long run.
Let me add to that. Always visualize what you want to do and how you're going to do it. I'm going to give you a quick story. I'm 11 years old. We traveled from Puerto Rico to Knoxville, Tennessee for Little League World Series. We travel, right? So we're traveling. We get there, we lose, we come in third place. My mom feels bad because we're all crying. So she rents 2 school buses to go to Pittsburgh and meet the Pirates. So I introduce my teammates to the Pirates before we go back to Puerto Rico. And they're running around Three River Stadium on the field and before batting practice, and they're running and running. And there's one of my teammates, he was from the projects, and he stood on the home plate looking around the stadium, tears coming down his eyes, his face. And I said, "What's going on?" He goes, "One day I'm going to come here, and I'm going to play right field, and I'm going to wear 21. I said, "You can come here, you can play base, you can play right field, but you can't wear 21 because number 21 is retired, right?" So, he said, "I'm going to come, and I'm going to play right field." I said, "Okay." This is 1976. Fast forward to 1994, the All-Star Game. We unveiled the Clemente statue. The very next day is the All-Star Game. Out of the American League dugout in the 6th inning, my boy is running to right field wearing number 21.
Wow.
He manifested that at 11 years old. He made it happen. Okay, never give up on your dreams because they will happen. You work hard, you practice, and anything you do, it could be baseball, any sport, anything in life, work hard, and you'll make it happen. And by the way, for those that remember, that was Mr. Ruben Sierra.
Wow, that's a great story.
What is the first thing you think about when you're in a tough situation when you're pitching?
The first thing I think about in a tough situation, I kind of just try to breathe. I try to, take myself out of that moment for a second. So one thing I've found success with is I'll find any sort of signage, at the stadium, because there's so many different ads, and I'll just stare at it for 5 seconds. It'll kind of knock me out of that, fight or flight mode is what they call it. And then I'll lock back in, and a lot of the times it leads to a lot more success. So
he sings the jingle, the jingle of the company, of the sponsor.
Yeah, honestly, just trying to recenter, so that helps a lot with that, getting out of those tough situations.
Good question.
I'll make it quick. How do you guys balance a life of service with your busy schedules?
There's no balance. It is what it is. No, it's I truly believe that, like I said, if you're passionate of what you do, I don't see it as something that it's a bother. It's actually something that I truly enjoy, something that I look forward to. It's something that I am always looking forward to, the feeling of giving and seeing something happen in front of you and knowing that you're making things better. For me, it's it's the best drug in the world.
For me, I think it comes naturally. I think with the length of our season, it's easy to just stay in bed and not go over to the youth academy, for 2 hours before a game. But I haven't really adapted that mindset. When they want us over there, or I'm able to volunteer my time, it's one of the first things I do, especially on an off day, because I know those kids are there every day, so it makes it easier that they come in and they're more than willing to have us there. So yeah, it just comes naturally to where you're balancing your passion with service, and it all ties in together.
Thank you.
I'll be brief, Jimmy. Steve, similar to you, I didn't go to Lemoyne. My two brothers did, my sister did. I went to that school in Pennsylvania.
So you can relate.
Yes, I can relate. Josiah, one question for you and then one question for Roberto Jr. Josiah, did you and Josh Bell, since Josh went to a Jesuit high school, did you two ever talk about how that impacted you becoming the youth representative?
Great question. Honestly, no, we never did. But Josh is, one of my favorite teammates I've ever had. When I joined the Nationals, he took me right under his arm and taught me, the way of like how things are going over here with the Nationals. And he's a good opponent nowadays. We get to talk in between games, and it's like time hasn't skipped a beat. So we never talked about that, but we have a lot of good memories together.
And then Roberto Jr., obviously Major League Baseball retired Jackie Robinson's number. What's your opinion on your father's number being retired?
I take it, I see it in a very completely different way, because I truly believe that when you talk about that, I see baseball as a secondary part of his story. So I have decided, and I'm actually lobbying in DC, because I truly believe that, number one, we don't have a federal holiday for a Latino at all. I think he should be one, right? He should be the one, if any. And there's no holidays in August, right? He was born in August 18th. I figure he will be the one, so I'm lobbying for a national holiday on his birthday, so people can not go to work that day and go to the ball field, right? Take your kids to the baseball field, talk about Clemente, talk about baseball, and enjoy the day.
Very good, thank you.
My dad was born on August 18th as well.
Okay, I was born, by the way, I was born at 11:55 on August 17th. So, the joke was I couldn't, wait 5 minutes. But yes, yes, go ahead.
So I'm gonna ask the same question to both of you. I'm aware, Mr. Clemente, of your work back home. I'm less aware of your work more recently. Jojo, I know all of the work that you've done since you've joined Washington. So I'm asking you really the same question. I'm curious about what opportunities you've had recently in your own local communities. And Jojo, I guess if you haven't had the opportunity yet, what maybe you plan on, if anything?
Well, we just got done September, Clemente Day in Pittsburgh. It was actually a week of celebrations. But while that was happening, I was able to learn about a new initiative with suicide. There was a kid that was a baseball player, and he was bullied. He was a very, very good pitcher, and he had a great potential, and he took his life because of bullying and all these issues that we're facing today. So I feel blessed that we started the app and this technology 10 years ago to be able to start developing and evolving and layering, and we're months away of layering another component to the app, which is actually voice recognition. That is by MITRE, that they do federal government technology, are placing on our Roberto app with PTSD diagnostics and suicide prevention with a voice flap of your vocal cords, being able to read something on your phone and be able to detect when you're going to have an episode and be able to be proactive in handling those situations.
Wow. Very impressive.
For me, things have slowed down a little bit, not going to the ballpark every day. But most recently, there was a MLB play ball event in, my hometown in New Rochelle, New York, which is about 4 hours away, downstate, and really enjoyed that. But now it's just thinking of creative ideas to give back to the Youth Academy, but also just kids in whatever community, I feel like needs help within the game of baseball. So whether that's giving time, finances, gear, resources, however, just thinking of some creative ideas. So I'm really looking forward to sitting down and kind of hammering home those details. But, right now it's just hangout time, and obviously come up to Lemoyne and see some familiar faces and just enjoy that.
So something happened tonight that we've never had in the 25-plus Madden and McNeil lectures that we've been involved in over the last 11 and a half years. And it's really added such a richness and a dimension, and it's the younger kids. So I know we promised the first 50 to get a ball signed. The ball you have in your hand already has Josiah's signature. We're going to do a ball signing with Roberto out at the table. But before we do that, I would like all the young men, women, kids to get their picture up on stage.
Yes.
How about that?
Yes. And for you young people, one thing before the picture, come. Before the picture, okay? One thing that I want you to understand, and for you adults, I would like for you to relay this to the young people out there in the community, right? Do me a favor, all right? So, show me your index fingers. Look at it. Just look at your finger. What do you see? A finger? I hope, right? But what do you see on that finger? Right there, those lines, that is your fingerprint, okay? That fingerprint makes each and every one of you very unique because no one in the entire world matches that fingerprint. Whatever you touch, you're leaving your name, your family's name behind. Make sure you touch everything in a positive way. All right? Promise? Okay, good.
It's a great message. Should we go down?
There we go. You want to see it?
Final thought, Jim?
I want the final thought to be that, what you just said. No more words. No more words. That was beautiful. It just keeps getting better. So, you've got a little job to do. You got about 50 baseballs inside. The table is, I know it's your because, you know, we love the fact that your mother, we're so lucky that your mother told you never to say no.
Wait.
You're lucky my wife's not here.
That was a random LinkedIn message. That's cool, yes, let's do it. And Josiah, you've given enormously of your time all day meeting with players, students, coaches. Riley, thank you for sharing him with us. I think the two of you deserve to go out with your friends and have a great evening. So, you've already signed the baseballs. Get out of here.
It's a true pleasure. It's really nice to meet you both.
Steve. That was awesome. Appreciate it. Absolutely. We're connected. Oh, yeah, we'll keep in touch. Yeah.